What's up, everybody? Another episode of Verbal Garbage coming at you hot and live. Today is a very, very special episode. Got a big stomach ache right now. I'm super nervous. It's my first time interviewing a complete stranger. I have Samuel White, an aspiring musician from London, on the show today. We've battled a little bit of time zone differences and some scheduling conflicts, and super excited to have him on. So, Sam, if you don't mind telling the people, give us a little bit of information about yourself, where you're from, where you're living, what you do for fun, what your job is. Let's go, buddy.
Perfect. I mean, firstly, it's a real pleasure to, be on and have this opportunity. I really appreciate that.
Pleasure is all mine, my friend.
So my name is Samuel White. I live in London, in the UK. My sort of part-time work at the moment in between university is a barista,
Oh yeah. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, making the teas and coffees.
You had like a Starbucks, or you had like a smaller little?
It's
Starbucks.
It's like a little independent. It's run by just a few women. It's a little bit independent, but no, I mean, besides that, the downtime is sort of spent, doing the music.
Absolutely.
And listening to music is probably the biggest thing,
So, I mean, I have tons of questions for you, buddy, obviously, but we'll start off just real quick. The barista work. How many days of the week are you doing that? What kind of shift are you working there? What does it entail each day?
It's a little bit on and off. It's I'm the newest member of staff there, so it's a little bit like do you know a 0-hour contract kind of thing?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's she'll call me up and say la da 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 da.
So you're almost like, we call that like on call. Like in America, there'll be nurses, like that's similar to what you're.
Yeah, I'm on like speed dial.
Okay, and don't mind anytime if you hear me saying something ignorant. I'm one of the most American motherfuckers you'll ever meet. So if I say something that's wrong about your culture or country or something, what's just how, you know what I mean?
No problem with that.
So I know when we were talking last night, trying to figure out the time, you mentioned that you're usually up super late into the wee hours of the morning. What allows your sleep schedule to be so crazy, man? I mean, what's that like?
I think what allows it is being 20 years old and young. I think give it a few years and it'll probably all catch up with me. But, the work is kind of on and off. So this week it's been every day of the week.
Okay.
But like next week, it's only one day of the week,
Sure. Oh,
yeah. So it's a little bit like precarious in that way, but I love it.
Awesome.
It's the people there that I really love. I love talking to them. I when I release a song or whatever, I tell them about it and they all sort of love it and everything.
That's
They're
awesome.
really lovely folks. But yeah, staying up very early, I was saying today, at what point does late stop being late and start becoming early?
Wow, that's actually very profound. I started thinking about that for a second. I'm like, whoa.
Very philosophical.
Hell yeah, bro. I didn't know what I was getting into here with you, dog. You're like Dumbledore.
Yeah, it's deep. We're getting into deep stuff.
Oh, man, that literally just was so profound. It made me lose track of my next question. What's up, guys? You've heard me talk about out-of-body experiences, a little mushroom trip, a little bong pack here and there. Well, luckily for you, you can now experience these legally. Astral Projection and Lucid Dreaming by Vince Field is a book out where you can read and delve more into the world of out-of-body experiences and lucid dreaming. Vince has got 20 years experience of doing these crazy, wild things that I have to take mushrooms or smoke 4,000 bong packs of to experience. Meanwhile, my boy uses his mind and his thoughts to take him to dimensions and planets never seen before in person by humans. Check it out on Amazon if you're interested. It's definitely something I'd enjoyed. Astral Projection and Lucid Dreaming by Vince Field. Check it out now. Yeah, I think that the fact that just you and I, it's funny, we don't know each other at all, but we're in pretty similar situations. Obviously, I'm 30, you're 20, but I'm kind of doing a day job right now, which I enjoy. I sell tools, working for, I don't know if you're familiar with Snap-on Tools. You go around, you sell tools to different mechanics and go to different dealerships and shops during the day. And obviously that's a job to make money. But now, like 2-3 weeks ago, like a month and a half, 2 months ago, I got into this podcast. So now I'm kind of working during the day and doing my passion, which is this. Trying to figure out days where I can find people like you to come on and chat. So I think that's super cool, man, that we're kind of chasing similar paths like that,
Yeah. It's funny, that you talk about this. I was just having this same conversation a minute ago, actually, with someone in my house and
London barbecues, right?
Yeah. These goddamn bloody London barbecues happen all the time, but we were saying that, you have your day jobs and you have your, la da 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 da, but you got your passions, like for you, your podcast and stuff like that, and you need that encouragement, you know.
There's no doubt,
you need
man.
someone to say, you know, give it a go. Because I was talking, do you know the artist Mac DeMarco?
Not sure, buddy, to be honest.
He does a little bit of music, and
Okay.
well, I say a little, like he's, you know, in certain scenes, I'd say, you know, he's a pretty a sort of large scale artist, you know, and people like Harry Styles, you know,
Yeah.
those and I just think, you know, to myself that there was probably a time where they were working a day job, and they probably had a load of people going, you know, pack it in, you know.
Yeah.
You know, what's the point? You're never gonna, but you know, look at them now.
Exactly. You know, and
You know,
podcasts and music are similar in like the style of your music you're playing, which the acoustic guitar, the vocals, that's something I'm super into, as opposed to now. I'm not going to say that the genres have been watered down, but you know, a lot more has been relying on auto tune and that kind of thing, which I've always had a real appreciation for people that play their own instruments. They write their own lyrics. They're coming up with all that, man. So I just want to give you a shout out to that. And I'm curious if you were in the same boat as me, where you always had that passion. Like for years, I've wanted to try, you know, talking like this, trying to make people laugh, doing comedy, something like that. But you know, you just have that natural fear of, are people not going to find it funny? Are people going to think I'm weird? Like, and I just got to one day, I'm
rejection,
like,
isn't it?
Yeah. And it's like, what are you going to let other people's feelings stop you from trying something new at? And like,
there you go.
I kept going to I kept being nervous before this interview, man, because it's the first time. And I'm like, is this going to suck? Yeah. But I'm like, if it sucks, I put it out there and we each learn from it. What's the harm in that? You know what I mean?
And, you know, exactly, you know, it's at the end of the day, you know, when you're laying in bed and you're trying to go to sleep, it's just you and your own thoughts, you know.
Yeah.
There's no, everyone that says, oh, this is really great, or this is really awful, you know, they're not there. It's whether, are you content, you know, are you happy with what you're doing? And if the answer is yes, then, you know,
yeah.
But if the answer is maybe no, it's okay, you know, what can we do to fix this?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just like everyone, we all have like our outlets, you know, when you have a bad day. I'm a big proponent of I talk about every episode, martial arts. Like I do jujitsu, which is no matter what kind of day you're having, no matter what's on your mind, you go there and you just leave in such a good mood. And it's crazy because ever since I've been doing the show, solo episodes or guests, I get the same feeling when I'm done. I get this crazy euphoric rush. I feel like I can't explain it, but it's an amazing feeling. I imagine there's parallels to you with the songs. You know, you're obviously putting more time and work into that, but you get that finished product out. And what's that process like, Samuel?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really beautiful thing you say about, you know, the euphoria and everything. It's a little bit funny, you know, when you're making a song or a podcast, you know, it's you make the damn thing, and then you listen back to it, and you sort of go, your initial reaction is like, oh, this is the best thing ever. This is the best piece of music ever. No one's ever made anything.
Or if you're like me, you're like, this sucks. Listen to my stupid voice.
Yeah.
You know,
and you release, and you know, you spread it on social media, and you're like, listen to this. This is amazing. And then the next morning you go to bed and you wake up and you go, this is literally the worst thing that's ever been created.
Yep.
You know, and I suffer terribly with that. You know, I listen back to my own stuff, and you sort of think, well, this isn't real music because I'm making it. I'm not
right.
a musician. You know, music is Ed Sheeran and Harry Styles, and you know, this is bedroom, just fun in your bedroom. You know, but I think, you know, podcasts and music, I think people need to give themselves a little bit more credit. You know, a pat on the back, because what you're doing, you know, with your podcast, you're putting yourself out there. You know,
that's the whole thing for me, man. Is just being,
and you know, you get on that mic. You know, you talk on that microphone. And just by sitting down and trying, you're doing more than, I bet so many people out there want to do it, you know?
Oh, yeah, man. I was in that position for
leap.
3 years, you know, and I was just like, if it doesn't work out, if I fizzle out, like there were some weeks where I would have a guest lined up for a Friday night, because I was originally doing Monday afternoons after work and then Friday nights with a guest and then put it up that night. But then the last few weeks I was getting cancellations on a Friday night, and it was really messing me up because I'm like, okay, now I don't have an episode to put up Friday. So this is why now I'm starting to just like, I think I'm doing 3 or 4 interviews a day, and then I'm going to release those, you know, over the weeks, where you just have a catalog of things built up that you can release, you know, incrementally. So that's definitely something that I'm looking forward to. And I really, like I said, thank you again for coming on, dude.
You don't need to. I mean, it's getting out and doing something like this. I think it's one of the really cool things about doing something creative, you know, music, art, podcast, whatever it may be, is that there's other people out there that are doing something creative that, you know, you leapfrog off each other and you help each other, you know, you help each other grow and, you know, do what you want to do, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, I know this might sound weird. You all right? We chatted a few times back and forth on Instagram, and now this, like, I already consider you a friend. I mean, you're super easy to talk to. You've helped me out, you know, coming on here. And, you know, something I wanted to ask you is, I don't have a music background. I was curious. I've been really thinking about trying to integrate or find some kind of way to do some kind of song for the show. Is that something you think you could ever maybe help out in some kind of way? I'm not asking you to make it like a crazy, all your mind dedicated to it, but just my show is goofy with no expectations, and I want the song to reflect that. And I don't really know exactly what.
This is cosmic that you mention this, because so a very, very long time ago, about a year ago, I tried. And the reason I give you such props is I tried to do a podcast.
Yeah.
And it went nowhere. I did a few episodes and I was like, you know, this isn't for me. But at that time, I thought, okay, I need some original music.
Hell yeah.
And I forgot about that until about 2 weeks ago when I started composing something. So I thought, if I ever did pick up a podcast again, I thought, wouldn't it be cool to have some music? So I've actually got a track. And I am more than happy to send it to you afterwards.
We're definitely going to set that up, buddy. And, you know, like, people like you that are like, I'm not, the show is so up in the air right now, but I've been trying to think of like segments where I would like to have some kind of like music corner where I have you on once a month or something. And we talk about, like, I'm not really plugged into the new music nowadays. I'm more of like, just to give you an idea, like, I love the 90s hip hop, you know, like Mos Def, Talib Kweli, Black Star, Tribe Called Quest. I don't know if you're familiar with any of that, the Nas, and then like the classic rock, cool, the 60s, the Doors, the Beatles.
Yeah,
the 90s grunge scene, like those are all my kind of genres. So I was very curious on your side, like, what were big inspirations for you as you were growing up and getting into music?
Well, I think that's one of the powerful things, you know, about music. People throw this idea around, but the Beatles are literally my favorite.
Thank God, dude, because there's some young kids out there that have no respect for the foundation that they laid for the musical. You know what I mean? The industry.
I tell you,
my man.
I tell every single person that I've talked to, that I meet in my life, you know, people come and go, some people stick around or whatever, but everyone that I meet, you know, I'll talk about something from like Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper, and they won't know what the hell I'm talking about. And I say to them, pick a date, pick a time, find, you know, 5 or 6 hours, you're coming around to mine, you're going to get educated.
Oh,
we're going to you know, and
sure.
And then, you know, past that, you know, Please Please Me, all the, you know, the Stones, Oasis, you know, we travel.
Hell yeah. See, I never got too big into Oasis. I obviously know Wonderwall, but the brothers had a pretty bad split, right? They're still not on good terms.
I don't, you know, the song, have you ever heard Don't Look Back in Anger?
I probably heard it, but it sounds very familiar, but I can't.
Yeah. Well, it's an Oasis song, and it's ironic because all they do is look back in anger.
Yeah.
You know.
So talking about Oasis, you know, they were a little brotherly, right? It was brotherly duo.
Yeah, Noel and Liam.
So did you start off learning instruments from a family member, a brother, a cousin? Did you learn it off YouTube? How did you learn? Because you play guitar and other things, I'm assuming, correct?
Yeah. So my first instrument was, I still play it today. Picked it up in the UK. It's called Year 7. I'm trying to figure out what that would probably be like, maybe like 8th grade.
Okay.
Something like that. People are probably going to listen to it. Buddy. Yeah. Yeah. I started playing the saxophone.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's my main instrument. That's the one that I can pick up and pretty easily. But you know,
dude, a fucking podcast song with a saxophone solo. I'm all over it.
Get a bit of the blues, you know, but you can't sing and play the saxophone, you know.
I'm sure you can find a way.
Oh yeah, no, I tell you, knowing half the stuff, I see some of these people busking in the underground in London, and they've got these backpacks on, you know, they're playing the drums, they're playing the guitar, the harmonica, they're singing at the same time. Wow. I think, chill out, bro.
Yeah,
like, just chill for a minute, you know.
You want to focus on one, I guess, but I guess they figure they can maybe make more of an impact doing all that at once.
Yeah, I mean, they do make a bloody impact. They also make a bloody racket, you know. You want to say, keep it down a little bit, you know.
Bro,
it's like 8 a.m. I'm trying to get to work.
It's so funny because I don't know, when I was like 7 or 8 years old and I saw the Harry Potter movies, I've always been so obsessed with like that British accent and saying bloody, and you are absolutely nailing it, my friend.
Do I embody it?
No, it's amazing. Like, that literally just makes me want to have you on the show multiple times just for the accent and bloody alone.
Well, you know what? I love that. I saw that message that you sent where you said that makes money, and I was like, I like that. I
Yeah,
really like
dude,
that
because
message.
I'm always trying to say with my friends, I'm like, it's bloody hard, but you can't do it when, you know what I mean? I
It's
force it. It's
bloody
not like...
difficult. Very
So,
proper.
growing up, buddy, do you have any siblings?
Yep, I've got a brother and a sister. Brother's a decent amount of time older than me. He's about 10 years older than me.
Okay. Now, is he musically inclined? Does he do any instruments?
No.
Okay.
No,
Just like my brother, myself. My brother, since he was early, young age, he started playing the clarinet, then the bass clarinet. Then he taught himself drums, guitar, bass. He just got it all. And I'm someone like most of the music I love are very heavily guitar, drum, but you know what I mean? Like a band.
Yeah.
And it's just something like I appreciate from afar. And I've tried to learn guitar a few times and I've just never been able to get over that learning curve.
Yeah.
It's a huge regret of mine.
It's not for it. You know, not everything is for, I always say not everything is for everyone, you know.
True.
But you know what I was saying to one of my mates earlier, you know, I was sort of saying that you can never try something and you can get to a stage in your life where you think, God, you know, wouldn't that have been, you know, just awesome to have given that a go, you know?
Oh yeah.
So you tried the guitar, you picked it up. Hell, you know, it's not for you.
I could have been Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, you could have been the next Blake John Lennon on our hands here, you know. But look, it wasn't for you. Fair game. You know, I tried a podcast. I tell you, I was literally.
What was your goal going into that? Was it something you were trying to do by yourself? You want to have guests on? Because dude, it's funny you say that because I wanted to do it alone. Then I started with someone. Then we kind of had a falling out. So I've had a lot of little obstacles that hit me, and I'm just like, you know what? I've already started. I paid for the artwork. Let's just keep going. So did you have little road bumps like that? Did you go in with someone else? I'm just curious about the genesis of that.
I deleted it after a long time, but my kind of like start to music and everything was TikTok.
Okay.
I had a TikTok page back at the start of lockdown, you know, back in school, but just before I left school. And it got pretty popular, you know. I think by the time I deleted it, it was at like 60,000 followers, you know.
Bro, what the fuck?
Yeah, you know, I had a couple million likes.
I should start a podcast with you, dude.
Yeah, you know,
like 250 followers.
And everything, you know, everything was just going superb, you know, it was just wonderful.
Crazy.
But and you know, I released a song on Spotify, and obviously the people went listen to that, and it was great. But they got
double dipping, dog. That's
yeah, you know, I was just all the media, you know.
Yeah.
But I tried a podcast. I thought, you know, maybe people will migrate over to that and listen to this, you know. And
was it music based, Sam? Like
it never really found its feet, you know. It originally was like I would talk about the Beatles. That was like, you know, but I quickly found that talking about the Beatles on my own for an hour got very boring.
Well, there's an episode idea for the future, buddy. Cause I'm a huge Beatles fan, and we can literally just talk Beatles for a whole hour. Like seriously.
Oh shit, man! I could talk about the Beatles for.
Do you see the Get Back special on Disney Plus? Did you get a chance to check that out?
I did,
bro. How incredible was that?
I think it's so. It's almost like, because I've always thought of someone as John Lennon like mythical. Yeah. They almost don't, you know, they're almost not real, you know, that they were gone before my time, but they're this like figure in history. 60, and to watch them later, you know, to watch them in 4K, like they're there, you know, and to watch someone like Paul McCartney, who I just love, you know, compose a song in front of your eyes. It's like, how lucky are we, you know?
Like, dude, when they were composing Get Back and all the variations, you know, Sweet Loretta Martin, but all like just seeing that inside baseball stuff was incredible. Like, I'm sure you've seen other, like, are you a big music documentary guy? You watch a lot of them?
Yeah, I what I do is I sort of find an artist I like, and then I gorge myself on like any piece of media they have, you know. So it was like a Queen for a long time, you know, and it's just like you watch everything and anything. But yeah, I like a music documentary,
because I'm sure like now we'll talk about that. And I've got a couple, like, have you seen Living in the Material World, the one all about George Harrison?
You know what, bro? You reminded me, that was on my watch list. I never got around to seeing that.
I'm pretty sure it's either on HBO still or Netflix. But are you familiar with Martin Scorsese? He directed Goodfellas.
Oh yeah,
he directed that documentary, dude. And
really,
it is. I mean, George was always my favorite Beatle, and when you watch that, you're just gonna be. It's just incredible.
Really.
So I think that's definitely worth checking out, buddy. And then, like, a couple weeks later down the road, you watch that, you give me a recommendation or an artist you're into, and then we can kind of collaborate and go back and forth with that. Cause I don't really have any kind of game plan with this podcast. Like, you're into music, let's talk music. I could have someone who's into sports, I'll talk sports. I like, it's just conversations and going off the riff and the cuff. And I just,
that's cool though.
As much as I wanted to like text you or call you and be like, yo, just tell me a quick little thing about yourself, and then I can write down an outline. I'm like, but then I'm sitting here talking to you and I'm looking over at a piece of paper, not listening to what you're saying, trying to think about my next question. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm like, why not just go off what you're saying? But the problem with that is, as you can see, my brain, like, you say one thing and I have 40 thoughts that sprout out. So
look, it's just never worry about that, because I am just a naturally pretty chaotic person too. And I love, there's nothing I love more than you say something to someone and they sort of, you see their eyes spark up, you know?
I'm always a little bit high, so my eyes are always a little Chinese, and the glasses and the glare. So trust me, my eyes are expanding every time you make an interesting point. That brings me to a next little interesting point. I know the music making, the songwriting, it's such a creative process. Have you ever looked to mind expanding substances such as marijuana, some mushrooms, anything like that to explore the songwriting? Is that not something you've ever felt necessary? Tell me your thoughts on that. I'm curious.
It's I've always said that things like marijuana and LSD and all this, it's to me, it's like tattoos.
Okay.
They're great on other people. I could never.
Okay, I really like that.
Yeah, I personally could never do that. Not like against a moral thing, but
dude, you can call me a piece of shit scumbag drug addict. Like, I smoke weed, I eat shrooms once in a while. So, but I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't offend me. People have their own comfort zones with what they like and what they don't like. And just from, like, I can tell by talking to you, you're very young, but you're very mature. You seem very intelligent. And I can't help but think, like, the experience I've had on mushrooms, like, I was talking to one of my friends earlier, and I'm not pushing on him, but I'm just like, I'm curious what it can do for other people who have creative brains as well that could really get them spinning.
Well, you look at the Beatles.
I was gonna bring that up, and I'm like, you're not a real Britain musician because you don't do acid. Not at all, dude. I was just curious about some of the, like, I just know I consider myself pretty creative, but I don't know an outlet to really put my you know what I mean? Maybe I'm conflating creative and weird. But
no, not at all, man.
When you do stuff, I don't know. It's just it's a little weird thing I had questions about. And you've listened to, I've seen music documentaries, guys were on acid trips and they wrote a whole album. But then there's guys who would do that and they go into a corner and maybe you just wouldn't. And by no means am I telling you to do it or anything. I was just curious about the process.
No, of course. It's I think that, you look at something like Sgt. Pepper Magical Mystery Tour. Sometimes I think, like I say, I have nothing against people that want to, smoke dope, do mushrooms.
Dope,
nothing
man.
Against it. They, some of my best mates do. I got nothing against it. I personally don't indulge, but it's like, it's a free world. You want to do it, go ahead.
How is that in London, by the way? Like, is it recreationally legal? Are they really against it there? What's that like?
So,
are you going to be removed off Spotify just for talking about weed?
I believe it's illegal.
Okay.
In the UK.
I'd imagine. Yeah, I would think
so. It's, people are, you'll always get young kids, especially at a college or a university, you'll always get people indulging in the odd thing. Where my standpoint kind of is like, I don't partake. The people that I kind of naturally surround myself with also don't partake, because, and it's also like, you might be surprised, I don't drink alcohol,
Good for you, man.
It's just, and it's not a like a moral high horse thing, it's just that if I'm being honest with you, I don't like the taste.
Yeah. No, I was like that for a while, and my brother kind of got me into drinking whiskey, which, if you drink a little bit at a time, like the way him and I drink, we'll drink just whiskey by itself with an ice cube, drink water the whole time. Like, I'm always drinking out of this vessel, a giant thing of water. So, like, if you do it, and I'm not saying you, but like, I grew to just kind of appreciate the taste over time. It's definitely not something I ever thought I would be into, but hey, more power to you for being able to stay sober 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, that's a challenge for me, my dude.
Just about, my friend, just about. But I do think there's a distinct difference between beer, lager, and something like a fine whiskey, a scotch. I almost see something like a nice liqueur kind of thing.
Okay.
As it's weird in my brain. That's almost, I know it is alcohol, but in my brain, that's almost not the same thing. That's like a much more pleasant thing, you know, a nice glass of whiskey after a meal, or, you know,
well, dude, it's funny you said, because my brother dates a German girl and they've been dating for like 3.5 years. And in Germany, they're big on schnapps, right? And that was something we never knew about. And it's a very strong smelling little liquor it's a clear liquor that they have in flavors. And after dinner, you drink it. It's known as a digestive, and it helps you digest your food a little bit better, which these kind of things are big all over Europe with the aperitifs and I know a little bit about that from my old bartending days, but yeah.
You're a bartender, huh?
I did for about 2 years. Yep. So I was
nice.
It's funny. Me and my brother were actually working. Our friend opened up a tiki bar, and my brother and I were working there together, bartending. And if you know my brother and me, like, you can't imagine how crazy and wild we were behind that bar. It was just, it was just so much fun.
I bet you've got some stories to tell there.
Oh, that's the problem, dude. I've had all these crazy jobs, and like I forget stories, and then people bring them up, like bring up and a little moment. Oh, trigger, you know what I mean? Like you bring up one little trigger word, and it just makes me think of like all these
floods back.
Oh yeah. So
the gates open.
Was that speaking of job, like the barista job, is that the only job you've had so far? I know you're super young still.
Yeah, but I did do a few trial shifts. You know, I looked at certain places. You know, it's part-time, you know, so you're never going to find something that you think like, God, I want to do this forever.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little part-time. You know, I did some pubs and bars and stuff like that.
Nice.
But you know, you can imagine for someone that doesn't drink, being behind a bar is almost, because I would get people go, oh, can you pour this guy a pint of Guinness or something? And I would, or like a pint of lager, you know, and there's a certain way you pour.
Oh yeah.
And
dude, I wish you could have seen.
Yeah, you know, and people assume 20-year-old kid, you know, pour him a pint, you know, he knows what to do. And I sit there and I'm like, you know, I pour it, it's like that much liquid and then that much foam, you know.
Yep. Well, dude, it's funny because I was selling paint for a company named Sherwin-Williams when I moved down to Florida, and my brother was always talking to me about restaurants. And I didn't really drink going up to that point. I didn't know anything about coffee, espressos, like none of the stuff, right? So I go into a restaurant, the first restaurant I'm working at, it's like a full craft cocktail bar. They got an espresso bar with lattes, all that shit you can imagine. So, bro, like I'd be working Saturday morning breakfast shifts with me, and it would be me and my brother's girlfriend, two of us. We'd have outside tables, inside tables, people coming in asking for macchiatos and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And you learn really quickly with that kind of stuff, bro. I'm sure you could relate as a barista. People will come in trying to, you know, walk all cool and fancy, act like they know what they're talking about. They order a drink. Like most of these people don't know the difference between a latte and a cappuccino. You know, and I didn't at first. And you start realizing like, oh my God, I made a cappuccino instead of a latte. And the lady who was so insistent on, I need oat milk with 2 dashes of this, she doesn't know the fucking difference between a little bit more foam and a little less foam. You know what I mean?
No, I tell you, you get people like, so the best orders are people that come in, you know, obviously being in London, you know, it's largely tea, you know, but someone will come in and they'll say, could I get a black Americano? Easy, don't water, done. But then you get someone that comes in and they say, right. And when they say right, you're like, oh God, you know, they go,
like they say,
could I get
right? What?
They go like, right, you know, as if they're about to
they're like, they're mentally preparing themselves. And
yeah, it's like, you know, and you sort of stand there and you go, okay. And you start sweating, you know, and they say, I would like a soy latte, not in the regular, a small cup, 1.5 shots, you know, one on the side, extra hot, you know, and you're like, and then you sort of turn around and you just go,
what was that again?
You know, what are you on about?
And God forbid you ask her again, she's gonna have to take another deep woosah breath and recite her old poem again.
You go, sorry, was that soy? And she goes,
it was rice milk, asshole.
It was oat milk, douchebag. You know, it's like
no, those latte drinkers have a certain uppityness about them that I've noticed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, we do get a few people that ask for chai stuff. I still don't know what chai is.
I don't either. I've made them a couple times. I have no idea. It's like that.
No.
Am I confusing that with matcha? Because there's that stuff that's like that powder.
One of them's green, I think.
Yeah, that's matcha.
That's matcha. Yeah.
Where the fuck are we going with matcha?
Yeah.
I was just trying to,
you know.
when you said chai, I'm like, I feel like I've made that before, but I'm not 100% certain.
But so, buddy, you know, I would just say quickly on that, you know, please. You said, God knows, where have we gone? that's what I really found cool about when I did try and do a podcast. I would start in my mind, I think, right, today I want to talk about the Quarrymen, I want to talk about the early days of the Beatles or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And then I would be talking and talking. And before I knew it, I was talking about like classic cars or something, and you just think, isn't that a beautiful thing? Like, because that's what conversation is, you
Exactly,
I wouldn't, if I met you in the street, I wouldn't come up and go like, we're going to talk about this. And then we're like, right, thank you.
We're talking about chai lattes 30 minutes into our conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You shoot the shit. That's what you do,
exactly.
And then before you know it, you're God knows where,
That's why, like, the solo episodes, don't get me wrong, I'm really enjoying them. They're funny. And that's really like the chance where I really get to just show people my true weirdness, all my stories, and not have them be, not that you're interrupting me, but you know what I mean? Like, how quickly I can get off track.
I'll just leave.
If you no. But I'm saying, if you respond to one thing I'm saying, then I can go off a whole nother tangent and forget what I was just saying. So it's like, on one respect, it's nice to solo, but the more I've been doing, like I think this is only the third or fourth guest episode I've done. I just prefer this so much more because there's so much more ground you can cover when you got someone going off of you and then you come back with something, then I go left and you're going right and I'm going 90 degrees, you're going 70 degrees. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm having a great time, dude. It's super fun. And something I always like to keep my guests in light of is, do you have the running time up on your computer?
Oh, I do, yeah.
Okay.
5.5 minutes.
So I hate when episodes get cut off. So right when we get under a minute there, I'm going to wrap up with like a little outro and then we'll do our thing. But I'm just trying to make that visible for people so they can understand that. Is there anything really off the top of your head that you can think of that we haven't covered this so far that you'd like to get into? Or is there anything you want to ask me or?
Well, if there was ever the chance to come back, there's plenty to talk about.
Bro, there's no doubt.
I got a few stories behind, making a few songs that would be, really fun to tell.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, but no, it's just I did this, I actually put on a subreddit, I was laying in bed one night and I thought, I've always wanted to do a podcast. I always wanted to have guests on. Why don't I go on a podcast? Why don't I do that?
And I'm so happy you did.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful because it allows me to do, it allows me to talk to, it allows me to talk
some
to
weird
people.
Fucking American freak. Yeah, I mean.
But don't you think that's amazing to think, like, yesterday, I had no idea who you were. And today I'm on your podcast.
Do you know how many people I've been being like, dude, I'm interviewing a 20-year-old upcoming musician from London. Like, it's so cool and exciting to me. And I'm like, the main thing for me, obviously, in this podcast is having fun. But obviously, I try to really emphasize humor because that's, I think, like one of my natural gifts in life is just to be able to make people laugh. But even interviews like this, like, we're not necessarily focusing on the humor side. We're just talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's refreshing to me because I don't necessarily feel pressure to be funny. But it's like when you're conversationally in this and the better we get to know each other, you'll start to see some of the quirks. And, the one thing I will say is Zoom definitely has its limitations. It's amazing. But when you're next to each other, the banter is just so much more immediate and quick. And that's kind of the one thing I'm a little, I don't want to say regretful about right now, but it's something I look forward to trying to get better at and then be able to get people in person. So just getting these mental reps out in the public right now and talking to you, dude, it's amazing. I'm having such a good time. And I don't even know I don't know where to begin. Like,
it's funny. You say you've been telling people, this and that. I've been telling people, I've been saying, I'm actually going on someone's podcast right now.
So have you been on one before, other than yours? Have you gone on one as a guest yet? Or is this the first one?
No, this is the first time.
It's a bloody fucking honor, dude. Thank you, bro.
It's an absolute bloody honor.
You got to one-up me like that, really? You couldn't let me have my little isolated buddy?
I'm just gonna do that to you right now. But no, I'm very nervous.
Yeah, for sure. And my thing is like, I like when I'm talking to people like you, a stranger, I'm trying to like ask normal interview questions, but the more that you come on, you'll notice I'm just a fucking weirdo and I can't keep my shit normal. So I'm very proud of how well I've kept it together because I've been wanting to ask you questions about like, do you pick your nose while you're driving? Do you use a bidet? What kind of toilet paper? Like, these are all the things that run through my fucking crazy. When my sister got married in October, she was getting married like a big, like outdoor barn, I guess you could call it. And I went in to take a shit and the guy had double ply Scott. And I was like, sir, I want to thank you for the amazing. He's like, you're thanking me for the toilet paper. I'm like, listen, I know I'm a weirdo, but I just like, these are things
none
I'm
of
a
that
big fan
single
of.
ply
if
shit.
you have shitty single ply toilet paper, terrible tissues, I'm going to bring it up. If you have nice
rips.
Yeah. So like me, I'm a whole nother animal with the bidet shit. I try not to bring it up on every podcast, but it's like there's a company out there, Hello Tushy, that makes them. I've already emailed them like 3 times trying to get them to sponsor me. No luck.
That would be so cool.
No luck so far because I just don't have a big audience, but I'm hoping,
Hey, give it time.
I have you on, maybe 1 or 2 of your friends hear it. And then I'm going to be talking to a girl from Seattle, maybe 3 or 4 of her friends. And I'm just hoping that it's going to build over time. And I'm not trying to really get discouraged in the numbers and look at that kind of thing, but I'm just hopeful, No,
I mean, I'm going to share it around, man. I think
that's
just from my standpoint, being a guest, for the first time, I think having tried to do what you sat in your position and tried to do, I think you've done a really marvelous job. It's been very fun and free flowing. And
and that's it, dude. Like I had another guy who does a podcast reach out to me and he's like, bro, you just keep the conversations flowing so effortlessly. And I'm like, that to me is the ultimate compliment because I have a huge problem on dominating the conversation and talking. And you let me know, but I feel like I've done a pretty good job of asking a question, sitting back and kind of let you chime in. And I hope that's the case.
It's been absolutely fantastic.
Awesome. So we just hit the under the minute mark, Sam. So real quick, tell the listeners out there where they can find you on Spotify and what you got coming up.
You can find Samuel White on Spotify. I've got a new album coming out soon. I'm really just trying to pump it out.
And right before the album comes out, come on here again. We'll do that. Okay. But finish.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. You literally just send me a message. I'm there.
It's done. Absolutely.
I'm there. It's done.
So like 2 or 3 weeks before you're going to release it, or maybe a month, if you don't mind, just shoot me a message and we'll figure something out.
100%, man. 100%.
Well, brother, I can't thank you enough. And I hope you have a bloody good night in London. You get a good night's sleep. And I look forward to talking to you again, Sam. Thank you so much.
I hope you have a fabulous time. Thank you.
Thank you guys all for listening and appreciate you guys. Thanks, Sam.
Cheers.
Hope you enjoyed that, dude.
I had
a great time.
Bloody fantastic,
mate. Okay. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.